Hello, everybody. This is Rudy Herrera with College Planning Experts, and I have one of our past clients, Craig Takanaka. Craig, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a Los Angeles City attorney. I have a wife and I have two daughters, and they're both actually in college, and they're both currently under the college planning experts programs.
Got it. Um, Tell me, before you came to College Planning Experts, what was your main concern for your kids and your family?
My main concern, and this was 3 years ago, my main concern, well, my wife and my main concern was how we were going to handle paying for tuition. And that's the biggest concern we had. I didn't know whether I was going to have to just mortgage away my house or take all kind of debt on. And we were very concerned until we met with Brian at College Planning Experts. He gave us a plan to follow.
And did you have any concerns about the actual college planning as well, aside from funding?
Yes, because like in anything, any applications you have to make, uh, it's kind of unclear. I mean, rather have somebody that is familiar with applications do it. I work in government, and I know about a lot of applications and grants and funds that's involved, and you have to have a specialty in order to properly fill them out. And so that's why I sought out college planning experts.
How did you find about College Planning Experts?
It was word of mouth, actually. I knew a couple of friends that went through college planning experts. One friend, his son went to Stanford, and college planning helped him arrange all of that, his admission and acceptance into Stanford. Um, when he told me, and I also had some friends from back east that were actually doing what college planning is doing out in the West Coast here. So that's why I decided to look into college planning experts, and when I met Brian Safdari, I decided to go along with CPE.
And when you went to UCLA, we talked a little bit. You went to UCLA,
Mm-hmm.
and you see a big difference between getting into UCLA today versus trying to get into UCLA. I mean, getting into UCLA last when you went versus today. It's a big
Oh
difference,
yes,
right? It's not
it,
as easy as.
there's so much competition now, and it's much different actually. Uh, you figure I went how many 40 plus years ago to UCLA, and back in 1970s, mid 70s is when I went. It's much different, and without actually, I will say my daughter was able to get in this past time at UCLA with Brian's help. But without without the assistance, I don't know if she would have been able to get in because college planning experts helped us with all of the applications, even assisted my daughter with
The
the
essay.
essays that she had to write, and just the overall planning on the applications.
And so you had a great experience with college planning experts, and you probably had a few different counselors, maybe one. How was that experience for your daughters and the counselors?
Oh, it's been they've been very helpful. Uh, I see because I was involved with my daughters from day one too on all their every step of the way in their applications. But what I liked was that as a parent, you don't have the same type of influence over your child that some a third party would have,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the counselors at college planning came in. They assisted and helped, and my children were able to listen to them better than they could listen to me.
That's the truth. That happens to everybody. And can you tell me a little bit about financial aid and maximizing financial aid? Were we able to help you there?
Yes.
even with the assets and the amount of money that you make and so forth, we were able to help you in that direction, correct?
Yes, and that was my main concern coming in, beginning this whole process, was the financial part, and that's where it's just been unbelievable. College planning, Brian sat down with me from the beginning, and by the way, we entered the platinum program,
Hmm.
and Brian, but through the platinum program, Brian sat down with my wife and I, and he gave us a plan, a financial plan in addition to the admissions counseling. He gave us advice for a financial plan, and everything that Brian mapped out from 3 years ago has now come true. Every year, every stage, uh, uh, he's been involved with us every year, and we were able to actually, we're ahead on our plan. Our plan, financial plan, actually had us mapped out at a certain figure. We're way ahead of that, and I wouldn't have been able to do this without Brian.
So you maximize financial aid. You were able to college planning experts and the staff and Brian. We were able to set up a funding plan as well. So we maximize financial aid. We set up a funding plan for you, and if you just follow, correct me if I'm right, if you just follow the recipe of what we set out for you, it works.
Yes.
Great. And if you could think of something valuable that you can tell the parents that are watching this, what would it be?
Well, you figure this is probably the most critical point in our children's lives, us as a family's lives, because college is their future, and nowadays it's getting more difficult to finance, college educations too. It's just so important to have or go through a company like CPE and work with someone like Brian Safdari to enable to reach our goals and enable to let our children have the best opportunities that they can, and so
Mhm.
that's all we could ask for, and that's why I know my wife and I were very thankful for what college planning has done for us.
And the investment that you made, we don't have to share the investment that you made here, but the investment you made definitely outweighs.
Oh, by far. I mean, traditionally, everyone would be thinking of just mortgaging their home or going into big debt, or for the worst case scenario, not permitting their child to go to a particular school.
Right.
With Brian's help, or college planning's assistance, we had many options that we could follow for our children, the type of schools that they could apply to. Funding in the end was not a problem.
So you started 3 years ago. You have two kids in college now, and I sit down with a lot of parents, and you have a lot of 8th and 9th grade parents, some even younger than that, and they think they have a lot of time,
Oh,
right? And when do you think a family should start? I know it's never too late when they come to us, even as seniors, some in junior college, we tell them we still can help you. But when do you think a family should really start?
grammar school may be a little young, but at least during junior high, or now I don't know, it's intermediate.
Mhm.
The earlier the better around that point in time, because high school is where you're laying the foundation to get into college. So I would say, even at high school, if you start, it's too late. I had wished that I had looked into this before, and had my children started really at the beginning of high school, at least at that point, because that's when all the grades, student grades, all their activities
Mhm.
and everything, all those come into play, and those factor in as to admissions into college.
Would you agree? I tell parents all the time that the college planning process is not going to happen as a fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth grader, but definitely you should start thinking about how this is going to be paid
Right.
for.
Yes.
Okay, so I think the earlier the better, right? It's cheaper dollars.
I agree, because I wish I had done this sooner. I didn't do it until my older daughter's last year in high school. I wish I had started even, like you said, at a younger age, because what I did was, at the beginning, I did the traditional route that most people do. I started a state college share account, and I started funding that the best I could per month. Per child, I contributed a few $100s. By the time we're ready for college, the amount of money that I was able to put away there would only cover 1 year of college. It was insufficient to cover all the needs of my children, especially going to a private school. So that's why I'd say, maybe, yeah, you're right. For financial purposes, at a younger age, maybe start thinking and start planning. I wish I had followed Brian, or I had Brian when my kids were even younger. Then I could have started the financial plan then. That what we were talking about earlier, I'd say the academic plan, working with them, that's more like the high school.
Yeah, eighth, ninth grade. Because
Right.
ninth grade, I tell parents all the time, ninth grade is the base.
Yes.
And 10th and 11th grade is what they're really looking at, the college admissions officers, and
Yeah.
then you got to maintain it as a senior, because you can't be a junior and then have the counselors say, well, we need a 4.0, you're a 3.5. It's very difficult to move that scale up. So
Yeah.
it's easier to start at that base and then maintain it, do well in 11th and 12th grade. So yeah, the planning, I think, really starts for college like the 8th grade year, 9th grade year.
Yes.
So they get those habits, so they understand, right?
Right.
Don't you agree?
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
So anyway, I want to thank you for this time. You've been so gracious that I was able to come out on a Friday and enjoy this city. I grew up in this city, and it brings a lot of memories. We had a great conversation, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. Would you refer us people?
Oh yes, and I have been.
Okay.
Continue to.
Great. Thank you so much, Craig. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.